Within the UK, there are roughly 6.6 million paid and unpaid carers. This number is set to increase to 9 million by the year of 2037. Leeds is home to about 80,000 carers, paid or not, caring for the sickly or loved ones. Approximately 1,400 of this number consist of unpaid young carers under the age of 18.
This is a picture of me, that's my cute little face there, and that's my big sister, my hero. I have absolutely no idea what age I am in this picture, but I remember that my dad had introduced us to one of his friends who was a bodybuilder, so we decided that we also wanted to be bodybuilders, so we put tissue paper in our arms to give us strong muscles. So I mean, I'd guess I was probably about 4 in that picture, maybe younger. This next picture is of my baby sisters, Hannah and Sarah, the twins. They're, I don't know, probably a couple of months old in that picture. They were ginormous. But this is the only picture we have of them as babies, for some reason. But I keep this. This slightly older, this is another picture of me and my little sister Hannah. My best friends are all my sisters, and we've always had a really good relationship. So that this picture is same as this one with my little sister Sarah, the twins again. But they're obviously very close, and you can tell from the pictures that we've been very close. So they're some of my favourite pictures. This is this is a picture of me and the twins again, sat on the stairs. We were doing the Spice Girls, but there was only 3 of us there. So my sister Sarah's being Sporty Spice. I have no idea which one I'm being there. Kind of just doing my own thing, like always. And that one is, I think that's Scary Spice, I think, or Posh Spice. Not sure. I'll leave you to guess that. Do I look like Rihanna? I've always looked in the mirror and thought I was quite like Rihanna. Jokes! I'ma still do my... I was a carer for my mum, and later on in my life my dad. My mum was diagnosed with MS shortly after I was born, so I didn't really know any different, but my dad was her main carer for many years, up until when I was about 7 years old. When I was about 7 is when my dad lost his sight, and when he lost his sight he suffered severely with depression, so he took to his bed for quite a long time. So I have 3 sisters, and me and my 3 sisters then became the main carer for my mum. My dad's condition is glaucoma, which affects the eyesight. It's about pressure in your eyes. It basically pushes your eyes forward, and you lose your sight. He's had a couple of operations to try and save different parts, but it never worked for him, and he lost his sight within about 4 or 5 months completely. So we started off with being able to just see light and dark, shapes and shadows, and then that went to nothing virtually. So at this point he has absolutely no sight at all, can't see light or dark, or shadows or outlines anymore. There's various types of MS. The type that my mum has is where she has attacks of MS. She might be fine for a while, but she's always affected by an attack. The first attack she ever had was on her feet and her ankles, and that meant that she couldn't put any pressure or lean or move any parts of her feet or her ankles, so she was immobile for a good long time with that. I think all I ever really wanted when I was a child was to have somebody outside of my family that I could speak to, and I didn't have that when I was young. I didn't think that I could speak to anybody. I didn't trust anybody around me. There was not one person in my life, in my class, people that I knew that I could think, yeah, I'll trust that person to tell them. I thought it was something to be kept secret, something private, something maybe to be ashamed of when I was very young. So I think a lot of the time I did feel alone, even though I know I had my sisters, and I had an older sister, somebody who looked after me as well, that I could absolutely speak to every day. But I think absolutely I was absolutely alone going through it, yeah. I remember another time when I'd a rare time whenever I'd gone out with just my mum. I think I was about 11 at the time. We'd literally just gone to the shop around the corner from my house. But because my mum's mobility can be so variable and difficult to predict, she thought she was having a good day and she'd be able to walk to the end of the street to the shop. Halfway there, her legs gave way and she collapsed and she fell in the street. I knew straight away that I had to call an ambulance. That's something I've had to do many times and very familiar with that at a young age, so that's what I started to do. But I remember people walking past and shouting, "She's drunk" or "She's pissed," and I was so embarrassed and I was trying to hide from view, because I thought all these people must think that my mum's drunk or she's this, that and the other, and my mum was in so much pain she wasn't able to really vocalise, I'm not drunk. Or whenever you think back to it, I think, how dare people make comments like that about my mum, somebody who's fallen in the street. Not one person stopped. An 11-year-old next to somebody who has fallen over. Not one person stopped to say, "Do you need any help or assistance?" People were shouting, "She's drunk." And that's something that stands out for me, and I think that gave me a very bad view at that time about passers by and about people, and I think that maybe shaped a lot of my feelings of trust issues and why I didn't want to tell people, because I think that people naturally are very judgmental, and that was very, very upsetting for me. It's completely shaped and defined who I am as an adult. I've been through experiences as a child that I think that no child really should ever have to go through or see, especially on their own. As a child, it was very, very difficult to cope with the emotions of it, not having anyone to speak to. And I guess the impact of that was whenever I was 10 years old was the first time that I tried to kill myself. I think at 10 you've absolutely no idea what you're doing, and I just couldn't see a way out. I couldn't see the rest of my life is going to be this. I'm going to be for the rest of my life caring for my mother, and I'm not going to be able to do anything. And what help am I at 10 years old? I remember going home from school and I took one of my dad's belts and I took it upstairs to my bedroom, hung it on a door hook, and I stared at it for probably about an hour thinking, shall I just hang myself now? It'll be a much easier option. And I think now, because I've gone into the health and social care profession, I work a lot with people with mental health and people who have tried to kill themselves, and I can relate to them probably a lot better than people who haven't been through that experience themselves. I can really understand those emotions and how it feels, and that feeling just before you're actually thinking about it is something that if you've never experienced it, you'll never understand what that feels like. It's my twin. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When I was young, it's something I would have thoughts about maybe on a weekly basis. But actually having actions or doing something about it, I've probably tried about 4 times in my life. One time resulting in a hospital admission. There were probably 4 serious attempts. But thinking about it was something that I did quite regularly, yeah. When I was about 15, 16, 17, that age range, I guess everybody has a rebellious phase. But at that point, I sort of gave up and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't cope with this anymore. I don't want to be involved in it. I really, really resented and hated my parents when I was 15. I thought, how dare they make this what my life is? And I'd see all people from my school going out, doing things, and I'd be sat at home thinking, am I going to have to go upstairs, make sure that my mum doesn't need to go to the toilet? Am I going to have to take her to the toilet when my friends are thinking about boys and about getting drunk and something that I'd never even experienced and ever thought of? But when I was between those ages of 15 and 17, I think I just went absolutely mad. I did absolutely every sort of drug there was going. I'd tried it. I didn't want to go home. I would do anything to avoid going home. I wouldn't ring my parents or tell them where I was. Probably the most difficult period of their life as well. So during that time, I just didn't want to be involved in it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I wanted to do my own thing. I moved out when I was 16 for about 6 months. And I moved in with a friend of mine who I'd just met and didn't know this person whatsoever. And it was probably one of the most poorest decisions I'd ever made in my life. That time when I moved out, it's a time that nobody really speaks about in my family. My big sister never did it, my little sisters never did it, my two little sisters still live at home now, they've never left. It had a massive effect on my relationship with my mum. My mum was very, very angry with me. She didn't speak to me the whole time I was gone. And I think maybe I wanted somebody to say, you're needed here and we do want you here, and I never really got that from them. I think it was something I needed to do for me, because I think I would have always, if I didn't do it, I always wondered, what is on the other side, what happens to people who don't have to basically be handcuffed to their family, what happens to those people. I think that I needed to do it for me emotionally as much as anyone else. Having that time away gave me a realisation is actually the most important thing to me is my family, and I've been there for all my life with looking after my parents, so it's something that's really important that I need to go back to, and I realised that it was very neglectful, and I left my sister all to do it herself. And so we have two younger sisters as well, and me and my big sister had a large part in bringing them up, I guess. My little sister still calls me mum as well, so I thought really for them I'm gonna have to go back. And when I went back, that's when I thought I need to do something about my life. I want to make my life have a purpose. I don't want to just be a person who's just sailing through their life. I want to do something. I want to make life better for people who go through the same thing, and to change that. Well, straight after I left, I got a job in the health and social care sector. I haven't left my job. I'm still in that job, been in it for 5 years now. Absolutely love my job. It's really, really important to me. I get to work very closely with carers, young carers and older carers. I work with a lot of disabled people who have the same conditions as my parents, and I do a lot of work with people with other conditions as well. So it's a very rewarding job as well as a very difficult job, but it's a big part of who I am and how I've got to this place where I am right now in my life. It's massively important to me. But if I could go back to tell myself what advice, I would tell myself to speak to somebody, speak to a teacher, speak to a doctor, speak to anybody. Just tell somebody about what you're going through, because help does exist, but it can be hard to find. You need to access it, and no matter what age you are, if you're a young carer, you're already in that sort of grown-up mindset, and you have to start thinking about your own health as well, because it's just as important that you stay healthy for your parents or whoever it is that you care for. So I'd say you need to reach out and speak to somebody, to anybody, to even a friend in class. Have somebody to speak to, because you can't keep it inside, you can't bottle it up. It leads to very poor decisions.